Hi there, Gemini. I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your July 2026 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Gemini air signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's not going to resonate for all of you, but what I do find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Gemini signs. So it may show up in different areas of your life in slightly different ways, but the theme is always the same. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, a very big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Gemini, let's jump in. I had to take that card. It was literally like resting there on my hand. So I always like to tune in first. I always like to see what the universe shows me. I feel like there is a lesson this month for many of you around being in the reality of what is in this moment. I feel like there's a tendency, to get a little bit dreamy, like an old pattern of getting more attached to the potential of something or somebody, let's say, of, what it could be, rather than, being a bit more grounded in what is happening, right here, right now. And that's the lesson. The lesson is about keeping your feet on the ground and really dealing with what is happening in the present moment. For many of you, this is going to relate to your relationship or somebody that you have been dealing with. But it's a moment of a reevaluation, I'm feeling also. So for some of you, it could relate to career. Some of you may be working on a project which, might be a little bit slow moving. It could be your own thing, your own business. And this might be a moment to, just take a pause and really look at what is going on here and make any necessary adjustments. It's about, recalibrating, readjusting, and moving forwards in a different way. So many of you are going to be, I feel, showing up in a different energy in yourself. Because there's this old pattern, I feel, of staying in something for longer than is healthy because you're attached to the potential of what it could be. But the reality of the situation, it just feels like there's almost something very different going on here. And something very often that maybe you don't want to see, you don't want to look at that because of perhaps the consequences that might have. So it might be a little bit of, a tough lesson for some of you. With your overall energies, we have the Fool. A new beginning. The Fool is the first card in the major arcana, and it represents a whole new beginning for you, a new chapter beginning. And usually it's something which requires us to take a little bit of a leap of faith. It's something where we don't always see the destination. It's about approaching a new beginning with an open heart, with curiosity, a little bit like the figure, the energy that you feel from the figure in the card there. But some kind of new beginning, a new chapter. What lies in your recent past, the Three of Swords. Your current energies, the Ace of Pentacles. Your feelings towards your situation, the Lovers. So there's some kind of choice that needs to be made here. But at the same time, a new beginning is being presented to you by the universe here. What I'm feeling in terms of love, now I feel career is going to be a little bit intertwined with this as well. But with this Three of Swords, I feel like there is somebody that you have been dealing with here. You know, this is about heartbreak and emotional pain, sadness, separation. Some of you may even be, you know, in some kind of no contact situation here. You might be at a distance from each other, or whatever this separation is, you know, may perhaps even affect, you know, your location, your current circumstances, because the Ace of Pentacles is a new path to walk. It's a new beginning. And Pentacles usually relate to, you know, home, family, career, you know, physical location. Let's just look at your challenge. The challenge is the Ten of Swords. Getting past perhaps a betrayal of some kind. You know, the Ten of Swords is usually a sense of, you know, betrayal, disappointment, feeling stabbed in the back. It's usually an energy of feeling blindsided, you know, something that you just didn't see coming. And for some of you, you know, there may have even been a third party energy. I don't normally get that with the Three of Swords, but for some reason, my eyes just went back to that card and I saw the Three Swords there, and I just instantly felt for some of you there's going to be a third party kind of influence in here. And that's going to be whatever, you know, this betrayal has been all about. And I do feel for many of you that things have been off for a while with the person that you're dealing with here. I feel like this is someone that, you know, when times are good, they're absolutely great. And that's when you kind of see, you know, that potential and, you know, how great it could be, what it could be, who they could be in your life, you know, in the future. But it feels like there are a lot of things that have been off about the connection, because I see somebody, you know, with a lot of lonely evenings, you know, wondering where are they? What are they doing? You know, feeling let down, disappointed. You know, this might be somebody that kind of changes their mind at the last minute. It might be a partner that's coming home late from work, and it's kind of, there's something unusual about that. And I do think, you know, our intuition always lets us know, but sometimes it's about trusting it, isn't it? And often we don't want to kind of listen to, you know, what our intuition is telling us. And that's the thing, you know, often we don't, because that means facing certain consequences, because, you know, the energies of the Fool, you know, that's an invitation for you to really show up differently. And there is a difficulty, I feel, in, you know, facing the reality here of what has happened with this Ten of Swords. This is usually an energy that, you know, we don't come back from. This is something that is absolutely over and done with. But there's a little part of your energy, I feel, that wants to kind of hang on, because to move on, you know, may involve facing perhaps some, you know, challenging emotions inside of yourself. It may involve facing some of, you know, your patterns that you need to heal. And so there is a choice to be made here. And that choice very well may be for some of you between, you know, giving it another go with this person, or choosing to move on, walk a different path, because there's definitely an invitation here to do that with this Ace of Pentacles, a whole new path to walk, you know, an invitation to step into a new chapter. But it feels like quite a challenging moment, because the Three of Swords, you know, this is the energy of feeling wounded, heartbroken. But it's also a powerful teacher, this card, you know, because the wounds where the swords enter the heart are actually where the light comes in, and that represents, you know, the soul lessons, the wisdom that, you know, will be gained from, you know, perhaps something that has and is, you know, very, very challenging for you right now. And it's a difficult one to let go of, because this is the thing. I feel like there's a part of your energy that has, you know, been very, very attached to, you know, how you thought this story was going to end, you know, what you thought this was going to be. With the hidden influence, we have the Six of Cups. I instantly feel for some of you as well, this isn't going to resonate for all of you. This feels like this third-party energy that I'm picking up on here. And for some of you, the hidden influence here may be that the person that you've been dealing with has, you know, had an ex that's returned to them. And that is what this betrayal is. There is an energy here, I feel, of the person you're dealing with choosing to, you know, take a different path with this person. I just keep saying the words ex returns, because the Six of Cups is an energy of nostalgia, going back over the past, over, you know, good times, memories, times where we felt loved, but it also represents somebody, you know, reappearing from the past. And that's a really tough situation, I feel, because when I feel into your energies here, Gemini, I feel like you were ready to invest, to commit, to really build something for the long term here. That was your vision. You know, tens are always something where, you know, it's coming close to a completion. You know, it's an energy of a long term, you know, type of view or goal. And so in a sense, you know, when it feels like somebody else has been chosen over us, it's almost this sense of, you know, they're honoring and committing to that person and they never did that for you. And I'm just hearing the words that, you know, even if this is a challenging time, it is as much as possible for you to try and trust this. Because I feel the universe is redirecting you here. The Fool, the Ace of Pentacles, this new path to walk, a choice to be made. But it's going to involve, you know, facing the disappointment, the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the consequences perhaps of moving on from this, you know, where that leaves you, which, you know, can be sometimes a little bit scary to kind of go solo for a while. You know, could bring up a lot of, you know, feelings of feeling abandoned. But the invitation here is to, you know, stop abandoning yourself. So some tough lessons and a choice that needs to be made here. And, you know, this is the kind of choice which we make from the heart. So there's an invitation here to take a pause. Like I was saying at the beginning, I feel like there's some kind of moment of, you know, reevaluating things. It's like a reset. Take a pause and, you know, in those moments of stillness and quiet, really getting in touch with your heart here and really listening to the wisdom of your heart and what your heart truly wants, and, you know, making a choice that is aligned with your truth and your values. And, you know, it can take a bit of courage, you know, because sometimes that choice involves walking away from that potential and that dream. But what I will say is you know, whenever you think about this person, we often tend to go to the good times. We go to the dream. And I think it's always good whenever you think about this person to remind yourself of all of these other things that, you know, felt off about the connection, the letdowns, the disappointments, the feeling of, you know, not of having someone in your life that's not really choosing you, and they're not really investing, they're not really committing. There's a lot of uncertainty here, a lot of wondering, you know, where do you stand with this person? And so every time you kind of go back over the past, always remind yourself, because that's the lesson. It is about being, you know, fully grounded in the reality of what is actually going on right now. What's coming in for you is the Hanged Man, which is exactly what I just said. It's about taking a pause, taking a step back. The Hanged Man always refers to situations which are external from us. You know, the Hermit is more about, you know, somebody going within looking for answers, whereas the Hanged Man is looking at a situation and gaining, you know, a different perspective on this. And for me, you know, in order to do that, I feel like it's about understanding perhaps the spiritual soul lessons here, that, you know, somehow this was a lesson, this wasn't a life partner, and it's some kind of redirection. And as I said, you know, the Three of Swords, a very, very challenging card, but one of the most powerful teachers, you know, that will lead you to a better place, not just in yourself, but in your experience of life as well. You know, because you do deserve to, you know, be loved as much as you love someone else and invested in, you know, you do deserve for that to be reciprocated here. And I just feel like you've been dealing with someone who just hasn't been doing that in so many different ways for you. The advice from the universe is the Queen of Wands. So, of course, this can be male or female. And I feel like this is the universe just giving you a gentle nudge to just remember, you know, how amazing you really are. You know, this is the energy of somebody reclaiming their power, standing in their power, remembering, you know, all the beautiful qualities that you have, how much you have to give, your amazingness. And moving forwards in that energy, you know, really using this situation as a platform to, you know, really stand on, to stand in your power. Because this is fire energy, it's inspiration. And the Queen of Wands is, you know, an incredibly magnetic energy. It's all about being your authentic self. And that's when you become, you know, the most magnetic, when you're truly just being yourself. And so there is an invitation here around getting back in your power. And that's why sometimes, you know, that's why this Hanged Man is here. You know, it gives you the opportunity to take a step back, bring your energy a little bit back to yourself again. Because sometimes we can get very kind of lost in other people and these connections, especially when things, you know, aren't going so well. In your outcome, we have the Two of Pentacles. Sometimes represents a choice between two physical things. That could be between this person and a new location. It could be between two people. You know, there may be new love coming in for you. But it's also a card of, I feel, working out what is truly important in your life and what do you really want. And really aligning your energies with that moving forwards. And a big invitation, I feel, to really step into, you know, a whole new version of yourself. And I really do feel that, if you do choose to take this path, take a leap of faith and just trust, that it is leading you to a better place. I really do feel that, if you can learn these lessons, embody them, and, demonstrate that to the universe, I do feel that you will kind of draw in the kind of person or opportunity that you do really want. So a powerful lesson here for you, Gemini, this month. And take your time, don't rush this, because I feel like there's a little bit of processing that needs to happen. And it's not about, denying sadness or anything like that. But, the understanding will come. I feel like that's where you're getting stuck. You're trying to, get things into context and understand everything. Sometimes that doesn't come until a bit later, when we've kind of taken a step and we've moved forwards. And, as we move forwards, a new path unfolds. We meet new people, new opportunities. And then we can kind of start to look back and join the dots and understand, why things played out the way that they did. And with that, we can get to a point where we look back on the past and even a specific person and see, the blessings that we did get from that situation, which of course are always the soul lessons and, how they help us to grow. So Gemini, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.